Here's what's coming up in the Category 5.tv newsroom. The inventor of a sophisticated compression technique fights back as Google tries to patent his work. Urban robots have been rolled out in both Dubai and China. A couple who admitted to stealing more than $1.2 million worth of goods from Amazon has been sentenced to nearly 6 years in jail. And a software bug meant millions of Facebook users may have unknowingly posted private information to the public. Stick around. The full details are coming up later in the show.
Jeff Weston,
Yeah, man.
you're building a brand new, beautiful website.
What?
Aren't you?
No. Am I?
Oh, you're a terrible actor.
What?
This is where acting comes into play.
Oh, I didn't know we were acting.
You're supposed to act.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Yeah, I'm building a really cool website. Are you building a really cool website? Just because Jeff is confused doesn't mean you have to be. Visit cat5.tv/dreamhost to sign up for unlimited web hosting for your website with unlimited email accounts, MySQL databases, the latest version of PHP, WordPress, and more, and even a free domain name registration. It's less than $6 per month, so sign up today. cat5.tv/dreamhost.
This is the Category 5.tv newsroom, covering the week's top tech stories with a slight Linux bias.
I'm Sasha Rickman, and here are the top stories we're following this week. The inventor of a sophisticated compression technique is fighting back as Google tries to patent his open source work. When Jarek Duda invented an important new compression technique called asymmetric numeral systems, or ANS, a few years ago, he wanted to make sure it would be available for anyone to use. So instead of seeking patents on the technique, he dedicated it to the public domain. Since 2014, Facebook, Apple, and Google have all created software based on Duda's breakthrough. But now Google is seeking a patent that would give it broad rights over the use of ANS for video compression. And Duda, a computer scientist in Poland, isn't happy about it. Google denies that it's trying to patent Duda's work. A Google spokesperson says that Duda came up with a theoretical concept that isn't directly patentable, while Google's lawyers are seeking to patent a specific application of that theory that reflects additional work by Google's engineers. But Duda says that he suggested the exact technique Google is trying to patent in a 2014 email exchange with Google engineers, a view largely endorsed by a preliminary ruling in February by European patent authorities. The European case isn't over, though, and Google is also seeking a patent in the United States. So we are...
You're the legal guy. Like, how do you feel about this?
Well, I mean, I don't deal in patent law, but just on the surface of this guy's got a great case. The fact that he shared the idea with Google, that he put out software, and then Google is using it with some of their enhancements, and they're trying to patent the whole thing.
Can you imagine?
Like... You know, I mean, so you've done NEMS.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
It'd be like somebody going, ooh, I like the idea of NEMS, but I want to do NEMS with some flair to it. And then
NEMS already has flair, Jeff.
No, I understand that. But, you know, and then they patent it, and you're like, really? This is my thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't know how the UK rules work, like the European rules as far as patents go. But as far as court of public opinion, I would 100% side with this guy.
Right.
Absolutely.
He needs to win this because of the Microsoft buying BitTorrent.
GitHub. And this totally brings that to mind.
So he needs to win that so that people who have contributed to GitHub can also fight if the Microsoft situation tries to patent
this is the fear, right? Microsoft aggregating
and
the
I did make
content.
that comment when that story came out.
Right.
I mean, this is a different scenario, but it's not unlike the details of this.
Right.
And so I hope he wins, and I hope that actually at the end of the day, I would love to see a settlement where Google's able to use the software or the compression technology. He gets credit and he gets royalties off every time it's used.
I like the way
that
you think.
way.
Right.
Google can do with it what they want, but he gets a kick of the money that will continue to provide income for him for now and the rest of his life. That to me would be a win-win scenario.
Sure.
Google gets what they want,
And it supports the whole premise of open source. Like,
Right.
It
here
does.
we're paying into open source.
Well, so and you with NIMS, you deal with open source. Imagine if you went up in a legal case up against Google.
Oh, I'd be done.
Their lawyers would bury you financially in preliminary objections and all this kind of stuff. And no doubt that's what Google's probably going to do here.
Yeah.
So I hope he settles, gets some royalties out of it, gets his
Right.
name on it, and then off he goes. That would be best case scenario.
All right, thank you. Both Dubai and China have rolled out urban robots. It's a terrifying vision of the future. A robot police officer with dark eyes and no discernible mouth that can identify criminals and collect evidence. The Robocop, complete with a police hat that to give it that eerie, uncanny valley feel, was shown off in Dubai last June. But since then, what has it done? PAL Robotics, the company behind the robot, shed some light on its duties, which makes the robot seem more like a tourist guide than a police officer. This robot joined the Dubai police to help citizens in an innovative and engaging way, and it is located now in tourist attractions and shopping malls. While describing the robot as a means of citizens to contact police, the company points out its current capabilities. The robot can provide useful information in multiple languages thanks to its software and can also guide people to a requested point of interest. The robot is a part of a wider move to make the region's police services smarter, which will include many more computer-controlled, unstaffed police stations. The Dubai government wants robot police to make up 25% of the force by 2030.
I don't like this.
You don't like it?
I don't like this.
You know what
Pepper
I have
robot
to say?
guiding me?
Here's what I have to say about this. I also don't like it.
Oh, yeah!
I know.
When have you ever agreed on anything
Just now.
that has to do with robots?
And here's why.
Now, the
Okay.
reasoning will be completely different.
Right. I am pro-robot, like all the way. But when do you need the police? You need the police in times of emergency. And in times of emergency, what if there's a power outage? Or what if there's some sort of crash technologically? And if 25% of the police force, or perhaps more by then, is a fried robot or a bugged robot, where do people go for help? They don't have a person to help them.
One, robots can see in the dark, so power outages don't affect them.
Okay,
Human police officers cannot see in the dark.
that's true.
Two, robots are omnipresent. Police officers are not. They can put robots everywhere.
Yes.
They don't get tired. They don't take a salary. They don't
Yes.
need to eat. They don't need to take a smoke break or a pee break.
Right.
And they can then call on that police officer, the human police officer, and bring them to the scene should they be required.
Right. So I do like the idea in regular policing. I don't like the idea in like a tragic occurrence where all of a sudden we actually need real help and all we have is robots. And what if they are part of the problem?
That's
what
like
if
saying,
there's
though, I need a police officer, but all we have is mall cops.
I see what you're saying.
No offense to mall cops, but
Right.
it's similar kind of scenario. Like, I don't carry a gun. I don't carry a weapon of any sort. I have no
Right.
power. I have no jurisdiction beyond I can say you're not allowed to leave the mall. But if you choose to, you can, because I really can't tackle you or anything like that legally.
Right. I mean, this is really actually no different than like the CCTVs.
I'm thinking Canada. It might be different in the United States. They're all carrying guns. They're
Because
able to tackle. Sure.
I know that in countries that have like a lot of CCTVs, like I'm
Yeah.
thinking like the UK has a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is similar to that in that it's probably just a robot that's recording things that probably gets fed back to hopefully a person watching.
There we go.
What?
Big brother.
That's my issue.
Oh, you don't like the privacy thing.
The Big Brother effect. That's
Right.
what I don't like
But
about
it's already
this.
happening.
Okay, so first off, I want to go back to something that, like, the two of you were just debating on robots being able to save the day. R2D2, mic drop. Okay, So, but as far as the privacy concern, sorry.
Now I want them to look like R2D2.
I know.
I hope they
absolutely
do,
do.
actually. Then I'll love them all the time, even in an emergency.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Who
But
would
no,
ever do crime if there's a R2D2 walking around?
I know,
Watching.
rolling around. Let's be clear.
Well,
He doesn't walk.
you know what I
there's
mean.
the one scene where,
Yeah.
but anyway, I can't believe I just did that. Anyway, no, my issue here is privacy. So it's one thing to have a walking kind of humanoid type directional map device that says go here. I mean, you can just do a sign and it'll do the same thing that you could talk to it. What I don't like about it is the fact that this will have connectivity to the police station, which makes it sound like I'm going down, you know, oh, we want to be able to commit crimes. That's not the case. But if you don't have proper regulations and oversight on how the data that is collected by that robot is used and stored, you could be Joe Blow citizen on the street,
Right.
and there's the potential that anything you do could suddenly show up and burn you. Like maybe it's sitting there helping somebody out and you happen to jaywalk. Not a big deal to jaywalk, but if the video feed of it goes back to the police station, catches you on, next thing you know, you got a ticket showing up at your door by a robot delivery bot, and then he goes off to do his pizza, and you got a ticket for jaywalking. I realize this is kind of like a far-fetched example, but
What kind of dystopian universe do you live in, Jeff?
no, this is the potential we have to go. Look at the
What
issues
if you-
we've had with Facebook
But
and releasing all
how
that
great
data.
would it be
Flip it.
if you drove past these Robocops and they could tell if you were texting and driving? That's perfect. That's life-saving.
Sure.
At the end of the day, let's be clear. Your phone can tell you if you're texting and driving.
But you have to
It
have a
should.
police officer catch you.
But they could change the rules so that your phone automatically tickets you.
Wouldn't that
I'm
be
back
cool?
to- I'm back
oh,
to
now I'm like
disagree.
totally on phones.
Yeah, I know,
I'm like,
but-
it's got a GPS chip. If you're traveling more than 10 kilometers an hour and texting, it should set off an alarm.
Sure.
It should turn off its own screen.
Sure, yeah. But my whole issue with this
It
is
should
the,
text
is the,
your mother.
is the
Tell your
privacy
mother what
concern
you're
that
doing.
comes with it. And what, I mean, you
Okay,
know that
but
somebody's
flip
gonna-
that, Jeff. What if the robot, rather than giving information, and it will,
Yeah.
rather than giving information to the police, was able to access the police database and
Right.
utilize it? So now that robot is able to spot a criminal that no human has been able to track down.
Like Amber Alerts.
Okay, but
It would
now
be super
another
helpful
great
in
example.
Amber
with
Alerts.
that, it's now tracking every person's face.
It
But
already.
already that happens.
understand that.
It
We
already
can't
happens.
stop it, Jeff.
But that's my concern. I'm not saying we could stop it. I'm just saying that's my
See,
concern.
I like all of the things that are your concern. My concern is that we're going to rely too heavily on them, and then they're going to fail us.
But it's one thing to have this as a tool. It's another thing when it becomes abused, and that's my concern, is that it has the potential to be abused if there's not proper regulatory oversight.
Right.
Technology is a wonderful thing. I like robots. I don't want them to go dealing with grandma's recipes in the kitchen, but there needs to be proper regulatory oversight before we lose all individuality and having your own freedom and privacy.
Your
I'll
thoughts?
I'll let Jeff have the last word on this one because we're moving to another story. A couple who admitted to stealing more than $1.2 million worth of goods from Amazon has been sentenced to nearly 6 years in jail. Aaron and Leah Finnan had previously pled guilty to charges of postal fraud and money laundering, and we spoke about them back on episode 525 last October. Here's an updated warning to anyone who thinks that they can scam Amazon. The couple exploited Amazon's customer service policy by claiming electronics that they ordered were damaged and receiving replacements at no charge. Prosecutors said that the sentence should serve as a warning to others. U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Indiana, Josh Minkler, said consumer fraud is not only unjustly enriching the perpetrator, it causes all of us to pay a higher retail price. He then reminds people, to those who seek to exploit the convenience of online shopping through fraud, remember this case. You will be caught, you will be prosecuted, and you will go to federal prison for a long time. And then, we presume, he dropped his mic and walked off the stage. The couple used hundreds of fake identities to order gadgets from Amazon, then reported fake issues with the devices that led to replacements being sent out, which they sold on for profit. They were due to be sentenced last November, but it was delayed after they were accused of defrauding yet another internet retailer. So,
Whoops.
yep, don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't in any way condone their action, but I have been bothered by this because it's a policy of Amazon.
What is?
Not all products have to be returned. So
Okay.
our dog had.
So you just expect people are going to exploit that because?
No, but you're making it too easy. So I purchased something off Amazon for our dog. We're trying a natural homeopathic remedy to address a health issue. And what I bought, I think it was about a $60 bottle of oil.
Okay.
And Amazon sent the wrong one.
Okay.
Oh.
But it came from the warehouse just down the road in Mississauga. Like it's an hour drive from my house. But when it showed up, it was the wrong device, or not device, but it was the wrong product within the same product line, but the wrong one. So I contacted them and said, "You sent me the wrong one. I can ship this back." And they said, "Don't worry." And the advice that they gave me from the agent was, "Just pour it out. We'll send you a new one." I was happy to put it back in the mail and ship it to them because it's a $60 item. But for
Yeah.
Amazon, they didn't care. And I'm thinking, I work not far from you. I can even drop it off at your warehouse.
That's
no,
a
just
tough
pour it
call,
out.
Right.
The fact that that was their policy and that was their response.
The reason for
It makes
that
it
is
easy.
just that they would have to pay to get it picked up, brought back, and then they would have to pour it
Yeah.
out, right? So it's a cost
That's
to
the
them.
thing. They can't resell
Right.
a
But
They
liquid.
could have. It still had that
So
seal on it.
you know that.
You know that. You
No,
could
no,
have
it was,
put...
it was wrapped in like that plastic shrink wrap,
Right.
where
Right.
it's got
But
like
you
the
could have-
perforated edges, so you could see that it wasn't used.
You could have tampered with that. You really could have.
I guess. But
If you were a
ever
bad
since-
person, which you're not.
So you're accusing Amazon. I'm going to take it back to Tylenol in the 1980s.
Okay.
Like people tampering with packaging has changed a lot of the rules.
Sure.
And a company like Amazon needs to make sure that
Right.
customers are satisfied. And if you went through a frustrating process to get the right product, you're never going to return. And sometimes Amazon and any good business will take the cost of business as, okay, the customer's always right. That's what you hear, right?
Right.
So if a customer is upset about something, and in my case, I do service. So the worst case scenario is I've done a lot of hours worth of work and I've billed a customer and they don't want to pay for it. Customer's always right. I can fight it, or I can keep
Just
them,
Suck it up and move on.
yeah,
Keep them
keep them
happy.
happy.
So that
So
they'll pay
there's
for
a
the
real
next
fine
time.
line.
Absolutely.
know.
And I mean, in this case, 100% they were wrong. It was fraudulent.
Sure.
Yes.
But,
Yes,
but
yeah.
there's a part of the policy that they exploited. And I think if Amazon just closed that loophole,
Yeah.
this
I'm
wouldn't have been as big of an issue.
shocked that Amazon doesn't ask for picture evidence, because I used to have a phone
Sure.
case that
Right.
was lifetime warranty.
Yep.
I've changed phones since, so I don't have it, but it ended up with a defect on it, and I called them because it was lifetime warranty, and they said, take a picture of it, send it to us, and we'll send you a new one.
Right. That makes sense.
Right.
Prove that it doesn't work.
Yeah,
Fitbit
I
does
can't
the
even.
same thing.
I can't even log into Facebook because I
Right.
send them a
That's right.
picture.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's
So-
rough.
But you know what? It really it hurts everybody to
Sure.
defraud the system like that. And you
Yeah.
feel like you are not stealing from anyone when you're stealing, I guess, from the computer, but you are. Everybody pays higher prices. There are real companies that put their products to Amazon. They're losing out. Everybody, yeah.
Now they're going to use delivery robots so that if you try to
That
defraud them, they can shoot you in the face.
I think
With a
that they
Robocop.
shouldn't shoot you in the face. Maybe with a picture. They should take a picture of your
There you go,
face.
and send it back to the grid.
See?
we just looped all those stories
Yes.
in.
How do we do it? How do we do it?
A software bug meant millions of Facebook users may have unknowingly. I don't have a clue what that said.
Post it.
Unknowingly posted private information to the public. The glitch set on a user's post to be shared to everyone, even if a user had previously chosen a more restricted option, such as friends of friends. Users who may have been affected will be notified on the site's newsfeed. Here's what Aaron Egan, Facebook's head of privacy, said, "To be clear, this bug did not impact anything people had posted before, and they could still choose their audience just as they always have. We'd like to apologize for this mistake." The glitch was active between May 18th and 22nd, but it took the site until May 27th to switch posts back to private or whatever the user had typically used before the bug became apparent. While relatively minor compared to recent issues facing the company, the glitch is another embarrassing slip-up for a firm already under heavy fire over privacy concerns.
That is troublesome because I use those features just to make sure that my public persona is separate from my personal persona in communicating with friends and family that are in person. So if I post things about my kids, or if they do a concert and I'm putting pictures up of them at their school, those are things that I wouldn't want to be publicly accessible.
Right.
Absolutely.
But yet I would post on Facebook knowing that they are in the public, but at least I've got them set so that only my mom can see them.
Right, exactly. And I mean, if you work in any sort of law enforcement field, you'll know that a lot of the employees will have super secure profiles because they don't want their, clients to be able to look them up. So you could have a 4-day window here where all of their public information is out there. And I mean, from a personal example, I've experienced this. I used to be a correctional officer working at a jail. I had my site locked down super tight, and I didn't realize that Facebook at the time, I don't know if they still do, had a thing where when they update the privacy policy, everything goes back to public access. And I had one of our clients contact me after being released, and the message was, "You have a beautiful family."
And by client, you mean prison inmate?
Yes, somebody who had served their time that did not like me. So that right there sets off red flags. I'm going, okay, now I need to talk about, physical safety for my family. Like, police were involved in everything, but
at least this made you move to Barrie, and so then you can be on our show.
Nothing happened. It was great.
Exactly.
Changed your name, and
That's right. I mean, the
dyed your hair
program.
Yeah, no, he's not actually a redhead. Did you know that?
That's right. I'm not actually here. Believe it or not.
Ooh. Telepresence.
But in a situation like this where there's been a big screw up, if you have somebody who's got a lockdown profile where all of a sudden this information is out there, you could have a potential security breach.
Oh, yes.
It's true. You have to just always remember that if it's online, it's likely not private.
Well, that is true.
Big thanks to Roy W. Nash and our community of viewers for submitting stories to us this week. Thanks for watching the Category 5.tv newsroom. Don't forget to like and subscribe for all your tech news with a slight Linux bias. And for more free content, be sure to check out our website. From the Category 5.tv newsroom, I'm Sasha Rickman.
I'm Robbie.
I'm Jeff.
It's been great having you here this week. Folks, don't forget to head on over to Patreon, cat5.tv/Patreon, and see if you'd like to support this broadcast and what we do. We'd love to have you as one of our patrons. Oh, and there are perks.
We would. There are perks.
Yes.
We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.